So we're here with director Nelson Yeo from Singapore to talk about his newest film, Mary, Mary, So Contrary, which is part of the Other Views show at the 2020 edition of Olhar de Cinema. First of all, I would like to thank you, Nelson, for taking the time to be here and talk a bit about the process of making these films. And thank you for the film as well. And so the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I go back to your film is its multi-layered structure that gradually leads us to some journeys. There are many possible journeys we can take with your film. There's the internal journey of existence, the variety of journeys between our consciousness and unconscious, and obviously the journey between the East and the West, the dream of the West. So having that said, how did it occur to you making connections between Fei Mu's Spring in a Small Town and Hitchcock's The Lady Vanishes? How important are these two films to you?
Okay, so we talk about the films first. The two films I chose. I chose the film partly because they are not films that I really like. They're just films that I knew about. So I have less emotional attachment to these films. And in this case, it's easier for me to kind of like manipulate and play with the structure of the film. And of course, in Fei Mu's film, it actually represents kind of like it's a very old film, but at the same time, it kind of represents like a very almost like progressive kind of woman back then. So it always like has this very almost like modern structure. That was why I chose that film for one reason. And regarding the layers or the structure, I don't see the film as having a structure. So even when I'm working on a film and I'm editing it, there wasn't a specific journey that I want the character to take. I kind of let the story and the footage take me wherever he wants to take me. And of course, the idea of the West is also metaphorical. In a sense, when we talk about in a Chinese custom and Chinese context, when we talk about the Western paradise, it also refers to heaven. And of course, the idea of like the famous Chinese novels, Journey to the West, is always about this idea of a journey and finding the ancient scriptures to kind of like attain nirvana. So it's kind of like based a lot on mythologies. Yeah.
How is it for you to manipulate those images? Do you have fun manipulating those?
In fact, I had a lot of fun because a lot of the films was in the old Academy ratio. But I kind of wanted it to be what exists. I kind of want to play with like what exists out of the image. So a lot of time, how do I extend the image and expand the world that they are in? So in the end, I decided to choose one of the wider aspect ratios and kind of like use mirrors and overlaying of images to create these dreamlike surreal world. And I never use any of the images as it is. All the images in the films are kind of like manipulated to a certain extent. Yeah.
So there's a dream structure. If we okay, you said there's no structure, and I cannot agree with you most. But there's this dream structure which is obviously not structured at all. That comes both with its visuality, which is stunning, with all this manipulation of film footages and the other images you create, and with its sound design, blending that artificial voiceover within a specific soundtrack. Together, sound and image takes us not to a single meaning, but to the texture of possible meanings. And this is essential to so many experimental filmmakers, this texture of possible meanings. So my question is, what's the type of experience you look for when making a film and when watching a film?
Okay. Are you referring to Mary Mary or are you referring to experimental film in general?
Both, actually. I'm referring to the expectation you have when you watch people watching Mary Mary, and obviously the expectation you have when you go to a cinema to watch whatever it is.
I guess the expectation is for the audience to not have any expectations. Is to kind of take the audience on this journey that has, like you mentioned, multiple possibilities, can go anywhere, and hopefully, even though there's a structure, you don't see a structure. And the idea of an experience, and I think a lot of it actually came from, I mean, when I was, my inspiration for the film actually came from all these like long bus rides. So I was traveling in Vietnam, and they have these bus rides going from one state to another state, and they have something called sleeping buses where the passengers can sleep on it. So I was just like, I couldn't sleep at night because it's too bumpy, and I was just like wondering, what do people think of and what do people dream about? And I think that kind of came out with the idea of like the journey and the dreams and the nightmares and the journey. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to finish this film, particularly?
I worked on it on and off because I was working on a narrative short film at the same time. So in a way, this film sort of is like ideas that I couldn't really get from the narrative film because due to limitation in terms of like the scale of the production and and it being like more narrative driven. So it serves almost like a B-side to that film. And working on it takes a while because I was working on and off, and like looking at it back watching it over and over again to kind of finish the film. So maybe about a year or two.
Okay.
And one of the things that none of the materials in the film are actually new. A lot of it was pre-existing materials. They were like footage that I have shot during some of my travels, some of my journeys. And even the sounds were actually like from like online. They were online sources for free sounds. So we're trying to create something new out of things that already existed. So that was one of the ideas for the film. Yeah.
Well, this is the last question. Mary, quite contrary, not so contrary, but Mary, quite contrary is an English nursery rhyme. And many say it's an allegory of Catholicism. So there's a religious take in the title for those who know the rhyme. So how did this title come to you, Mary, so contrary?
Actually, the title came from a German band, like this.
Yeah, I know, Cam. It's Cam.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
The late 60s and the 70s. Yeah, I know that.
That's correct. So that actually was more inspired by that song. And the idea of, one of the reasons the title is called Mary is because the character has a name that in Chinese also means Mary, Mali, which kind of translates into Mary as well. So I was playing with the idea of duality. And the personality in terms of the different personality of the two characters also. So yeah, that's why I came out with the title. Yeah, it's not because of. Of course I know about the series after that about the religious connotations of it.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Nelson, for your time again, and hopefully we will be able to watch your film with the ideal cinema screen soon enough.
Okay, thank you. I hope you all enjoy the film again.
Okay, we will. Bye-bye.
Bye.